to me, one of the coolest prophecies, it's sad, but it's cool, it's eerie, it's crazy, occurs with the prophet Zechariah, who lived about 500 years before Jesus was around, and it deals with the details surrounding the betrayal of Jesus. Now, we knew there was a prediction that a friend of his, a friend of the Messiah, would betray the Messiah, and so it was a friend of Jesus that did it. That was Judas Iscariot. He was in charge of the money. For whatever reason, it's hard to understand exactly why, what was going through his mind or whatever, but he decided to betray Jesus to allow him to be handed over to the high priest and some of the other religious leaders who at the time believed Jesus to be a blasphemer. So they paid Judas 30 pieces of silver to betray Jesus. It happened after the Last Supper. Jesus said, what you need to do, go do it quickly. And he went. He was in the Garden of Gethsemane praying, and then the soldiers came. It was dark. Judas came up and gave him a kiss, betrayed him with a kiss, and they arrested Jesus. They proceeded to beat him. They proceeded to send him on trial. And then they sentenced him to death. And at some point in all that process, Judas realized he had made a horrible mistake. And eventually, he went back to the high priest. He said, take your money back. I can't accept this. They wouldn't accept the pieces of silver. So he threw the pieces of silver into the temple. And then he went, and eventually, we don't know exactly when, but he hung himself in a potter's field. Now, as time went on, it was like, wow, this potter's field is cursed because the person who betrayed the Messiah hung himself there in a tree, so no one's going to buy this potter's field. So as tradition goes, the high priest then pay the potter the 30 pieces of silver for his field. Okay, given all those details, now we go back to the book of Zechariah, chapter 11. This is 500 years before Jesus' death. I told them, if you think it best, give me my pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid me 30 pieces of silver. And the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, the handsome price at which they priced me. So I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them into the house of the Lord to the potter. Now, sometimes when you're reading these prophecies, it seems like, whoa, what were they smoking when they were writing some of this stuff down? It's just weird. It seems out of context or whatever. And it's only later that we realize when we read these passages, oh my goodness, they got everything right. The Lord was betrayed for 30 pieces of silver. They took the silver and he threw it into the temple to pay the potter. There's no potter in the temple. But we know later, we realize, they took the silver, they paid the potter for the field, and it was a perfect fulfillment of prophecy. God's veiled a lot of these things. There's a lot of well-intentioned people that look at Jewish writings and they miss it. They miss the prophecies that are there. It's really after the fact, when we go back and we study things carefully, we realize how incredible these prophecies are. And as a mathematician and statistician, they blow me away. There's just no way this happens due to random chance.